Speaking is an art. Knowing how to speak and where to speak can often turn misfortune into blessing. As the saying goes, say what you see. This is indeed a speaking strategy, but there is another standard for this statement, that is, to tell the truth. It is rare for Wang Yangming to tell the truth, especially at certain times and scenes. Telling the truth can gain fame, but it is the truth that can really move people's hearts. However, on some occasions, you have to know how to beat around the bush when you tell the truth. It is said that Chinese people like to beat around the bush and are not straightforward, and beating around the bush gives foreign friends a headache. There is such a humorous story that when a foreign student praised a Chinese male classmate for being handsome, the male classmate was modest. The false way, where? This foreign student who has learned a little Chinese, I don't know what to do. I just praised him politely, and he asked me exactly where the beauty was. Of course, this foreign student does not know that this is the implication of our Chinese. In fact, on some specific occasions, it is not bad to be implicit at all if you speak too bluntly and too clearly. It may cause dissatisfaction with the other party, or have an adverse impact on yourself, but you have to express your meaning. At this time, if we adopt the method of passing on what is going on in my stomach through the words of others, and speaking from a third party who is not present, we can weaken the other party's dissatisfaction and adverse influence on us. In terms of language strategy, this method is called near talk and far talk. Using this method, we can artificially open the distance between the topic and the scene, leaving a buffer zone for both sides. Taking a U-turn, he not only expressed his opinions, but also left a way back for himself. Take into account the face of both sides, so that they and each other have a step down. For problems that are not suitable to speak bluntly, you will sometimes save yourself from danger by beating around the bush. There are too many things to beat around the bush in Chinese history. But it is also good to beat around the bush, and sometimes it can resolve extreme behavior. In response to a letter from student Zhou Datong, Wang Yangming said, "Slandering others with words is very superficial. Although the tongue has no bones, you should be very careful of its strength. Because once a word is spoken, it is like an arrow shot, which can no longer be taken back. Therefore, it is important to control your tongue, and learn to speak and behave in the world. When dealing with people, we should learn to make a specific analysis of people's character, and speak succinctly and forcefully to arrogant and insolent people. It is best not to talk to such people, for the so-called talking too much is useless. To those who are silent, you should be straightforward. For those who are hidden, you can only show them the materials you have prepared in advance. For people who have too many worries and make hasty decisions, they should be divided into several parts when speaking. After Xu Wennian was from a famous family, he was caught in Chang'an with his father when he was a child. At that time, life was very difficult to support himself. He was diligent and studious, and read through the classics later. He was an official in the Sui dynasty, and Yang Dong, the king of Yue, asked him to offer sacrifices to wine. At the end of the Sui dynasty, there was a famine in Luoyang. Xu Wennian had to go out to collect firewood to make a living. He happened to meet Li Mi, so he was invited into his army by Li Mi. Li Mi, a former student of Xu Wenyuan, asked Xu Wenyuan to sit in the upper seat facing south, while he led his soldiers to pay homage to him, and asked him to work for him. Xu Wenyuan said to Li Mi, "General, if you are determined to follow the example of Yi Yin, and Wu Guang to assist the royal family in times of danger, then although I am old, I still hope to do my best for you. But if you want to learn from Wang Mang and Dong Zhuo, and take advantage of the opportunity to usurp the throne, and seize power when the royal family is in danger, then I, an old and frail man, cannot help you." Li Mi replied, "I listen attentively to your teachings." Later, Li Mi was defeated and Xu Wenyuan belonged to Wang Shichong. Wang Shichong was also a student of Xu Wenyuan. He was very happy to see Xu Wenyuan, and gave him rich food and clothing. Every time Xu Wenyuan sees Wang Shichong, he always salutes him with great humility. Someone asked him, "I heard that you are very proud of Li Mi, but very respectful to Wang Shichong. Why is that?" Xu Wenyuan replied, "Li Mi is a modest gentleman, so he can accept the arrogant way that Li Sheng treated Liu Bang, while Wang Shichong is an insidious villain. And even an old friend may be killed by him. So I have to get along with him carefully. Shouldn't I look at the timing and take corresponding measures?" After Wang Shichong was also subordinated to the Tang dynasty, Xu Wenyuan was appointed as a doctor of the Sun of the Kingdom, which was highly valued by Li Shimin, the emperor of the Tang dynasty. Xu Wenyuan was able to save himself in troubled times, and was repeatedly used because he had different ways to deal with different people, knew how to deal with the world flexibly, knew how to control his mouth, and sang songs wherever he went. By mastering the skills of speaking and bringing people to life, you can achieve unexpected results. Fools often expose their ignorance, but sages always hide their knowledge. Because people who are obedient are easy to show their intellectuality, while those who like to express themselves and talk endlessly are usually fools. Based on this, please remember this advice: if you want to live a happier life, you should take a full breath of fresh air through your nose and always close your mouth. Don't talk nonsense, say more nice things. No matter how good a heart is, if you don't have a good mouth, you can't be a good person. It is necessary to be careful in words. If a person keeps talking and talking too much, many problems will naturally be exposed in the words. At the negotiating table of life, the beggar is sometimes the most outstanding negotiator. Xu Xuan, a native of Guangling in the southern Tang dynasty, was famous in the northern Song dynasty for his profound knowledge and access to ancient and modern times. On one occasion, Jiangnan sent Xu Xuan to pay tribute, and as a rule, Songting sent officials to accompany him. Prime Minister Zhao Pu did not know who to choose, so he went to Song Taizhe for instructions. Taizhe thought for a moment, and your wife wrote down the names of 10 illiterate waiters in the temple. Taizhe's royal pen waved. Randomly circle one of the names and say, "This person is fine." This surprised all the officials present. Zhao Pu did not dare to ask for instructions again, so he urged the waiter to start at once. The waiter could not get any clear instructions, so he had to go ahead and carry out the order inexplicably. As soon as he met, Xu Xuan was eloquent, and everyone admired his eloquence. The waiter could not read big characters, so of course he was speechless, so he had to nod his head again and again, and say yes. Xu Xuan did not know the depth of him, so he even more searched, and chattered and wanted to argue with him. But after living together for several days, the waiter said nothing to each other. Xu Xuan was so dry and exhausted that he had to shut up. In fact, at that time, there were well-read Confucian scholars such as Tao Yi and Dou Yi in the Song dynasty, and when it came to debating talent, they did not necessarily lose to Xu Xuan. However, as the king of a big country, Taizhu of the Song dynasty received envoys from small countries, and did not send them to fight for the length of their mouths. Because the two powers compete with each other, no one will be convinced of the other. On the contrary, it is beneath the dignity of the great power. People often say that silence is golden, not only a good way to keep yourself out of trouble, but also a wonderful prescription for doing things. When we are faced with things that we are not familiar with or are not good at, it is better to wait in the spirit of silence. But to achieve the task better, it is as if the deaf-mute will not fight with others, because he can neither hear nor speak. Others will not fight with such people, because a fight is in vain. If he continues to provoke again and again, it will only highlight his belligerence and vexation. However, most people are not deaf or dumb, and they will answer back when they hear something unpleasant to their ears. In fact, they fall into each other's trap as soon as they talk back. As Wang Yangming said, it takes a broad mind to avoid anger and resentment in the face of sarcasm and rudeness. The person who always finds fault with others must not be a popular person. Only those who can tolerate the world can be tolerated by the rest of the world. If you want a rainbow, you have to tolerate the raindrops. If you are furious at the moment the raindrops drop on your body, how can you enjoy the beautiful scenery with a sense of contentment when the rainbow appears? Contrary to sarcasm is praise. Praise is a good cultivation and wise behavior. The poet Blake once said, "Praise makes people relaxed." Praise is a kind of shrewd, secret and ingenious flattery, which satisfies the people who give and receive praise in different ways. When we praise others, we put ourselves on the same level as others. Don't be stingy with your praise to others. Everyone has his or her own shining points, a place worthy of praise. When you praise others, your mood is also happy, and people who often praise others tend to get praise from others. As the saying goes, giving roses leaves a fragrance in your hands. As long as there are people in the world, there are disputes, especially if there are I, you, and him. There will be more disputes among you, me and him. If you want to create a harmonious interpersonal relationship in such a complex environment, you should say less and say more good words.